Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. I decided to do, for this year at least, to do some various scattered Doctor Who reviews just to have videos to upload in the hiatus between Series 11 and Series 12. Also, the Diary of a Song is only getting 2 releases a year, so again, I just thought I'd have stuff to pad out the year. And today, we will be talking about the Auntie Matter. Or the Antimatter. Because there's 2 ways to say that word. The bottom line is the title's a pun. The Auntie Matter was the start of the 2nd series of the 4th Doctor adventures, and stars Tom Baker as the Doctor, and Mary Tam as Romana Dvora Trelundar, also known as Romana, and since this is Mary Tam, also sometimes known as Romana 1. Along with Tom Baker and Mary Tam, this story also stars Julia Mackenzie. I just forgot everyone else who was in it. Let me pull up the page one more time. Julia Mackenzie, Robert Portal, Lucy Griffiths, and Alan Cox. So, oh yeah, and the story was by Jonathan Morris and was directed by Ken Bentley. So yeah, a while ago I decided, I started checking out so many of Big Finish's other ranges, I think I should check out the 4th Doctor adventures, and I started looking into some recommendations. This is the 3rd 4th Doctor adventure story I've listened to. I'd previously listened to The King of Sontar, which is a good story. I didn't like it. I didn't hate it, but it was a good story. And The Trouble with Drax, which I loved. That story was amazing. And then I listened to this one. Mainly out of curiosity, because this one does feature Romana 1, who was only a companion to the 4th Doctor for one season. Season 16, The Key to Time, before she regenerated into Lala Ward. And yeah, the rest is history. I'll get more into Romana a little bit later, but generally, this was an okay story. It was passable. The short version is, it's good, but I have notes. And that's sort of why I'm doing that, because when it comes to my Big Finish reviews, my past reviews have all been box sets. So I really wanted to see if I could do a single release, something from the main range or something from another range, like what I'm doing here, and see if I could drum up enough material to talk about to carry a full video. And it's one of the reasons I'm doing the Antimatter and not the King of Sontar or The Trouble with Drax, because I think there's more to talk about with this one. So yeah, like I said, it's a decent story. But yeah, there are issues. First of all, Tom Baker. Tom Baker is great. Like, you listen to him, and it feels like he never left the role. I mean, he sounds older, but the energy is still there. Which is weird, because currently I'm listening to Series 6, and I've listened to other stories like Night of the Vashta Nerada and The Light at the End. I forgot the name for a second. And it's funny because I think now, or at least in the later Big Finish stuff he's done, he actually sounds younger than at the start. And I will be getting back to that as well. Again, I have no way of doing this. I have no script, so everything I want to talk about is just swirling around loosely in my head. So I'm trying to think of where to start. I'll start with the opening, because after we get our introduction to the main plot, the main conflict, and the villain, we then cut to the Doctor and Romana. And this scene raises so many questions. Back a little bit to the show's history. After The Key to Time was finished, and when they were going to begin season 17, Mary Tam did not come back. I've heard various reasonings as to why this is. The 2 big ones is that There was a dispute between her and the production crew, the studio, I don't know, but she had a dispute. The other one I heard, which I'm much more likely to believe, I'm just more personally inclined to believe, I should have done more research, that's on me, is that after season 16, or during the filming of season 16, I'm not sure, Mary Tam became pregnant. And when the time came to start season 17, Mary Tam was too pregnant to do a lot of the physical requirements the role needed of her. So in the first story, Destiny of the Daleks, Romana regenerated into Romana 2, Lala Ward. So anyway, the idea is that the Fourth Doctor Adventures Series 2 takes place between season 16 and 17, and that opening scene takes place immediately after the Key to Time ended. So, in the Key to Time, the Fourth Doctor and Romana were tasked by a being called the White Guardian to gather the pieces to this MacGuffin called the Key to Time and prevent his brother, the Black Guardian, from getting it first. So after the end of that season, Romana and the Doctor are on the run from the Black Guardian, and that's how this story opens. Basically, the Doctor has set the TARDIS on autopilot with K9 in it, and had it jump to random planets and times across the universe, hoping to outrun the Black Guardian, while he and Romana stay put in the 20s. While he and Romana stay put in the 20s. And the part that raises questions, because setting the TARDIS on autopilot, having it move all about the universe, and given that we know that the TARDIS, to a degree, is sentient, that's a fun touch. But then, the Doctor has a house. And servants. If this was like the modern day, or, the modern day of back then, where he still had his unit connections, that would be believable. But in the 1920s, I just kept going, how did you do this? So, there's that. And I feel like it was just kind of poorly put together, because one of the Doctor's servants, a young woman named Mabel, plays sort of a semi-big role later on in the story. Anyway, the conflict is that this young man named Reggie, is looking for smart, beautiful, intelligent women to wed. And after he becomes engaged, he takes them to meet his aunt. And he has a really interesting story about his aunt, who, he was passed off from aunt to aunt growing up until he met one growing up, and then we meet the aunt, and we learn why. Because she... By the way, spoilers. Wow, I should have started with that. But anyway, the aunt is basically... It's not a perfect description, but she's basically a vampire. She has to take over she's more of a parasite. There we go, that's better. She has to take over a new host body to be able to prolong and keep her life. The problem is that human bodies deteriorate so fast. And every time it happens, and that's why she sends Reggie out to find a fiancé. Because then she assumes the fiancé's body and then brainwashes Reggie into having him find another fiancé again. Which leads us to, as you would have it, Reggie meets Romana. And that's really where the stories begin, and where the two sort of plots separate. Because what Doctor Who so often does is you'd have the introduction, and then the Doctor and companion would arrive, and then circumstances would happen that caused the Doctor and companion to be separated, and then they're going on their own separate plots during the rising action, and then usually in the climax, they meet again, just in time for the resolution. And one of the things I like about this story is that during the rising action and the climax, the Doctor and Romana never meet. Where am I going with it? Yeah, they're each doing their own things, and it always ends up going one way or the other, and they just always narrowly miss each other. Sorry, so many things in my head. I wish I'd put them in order better. I wish I'd written notes, like I did with Series 11. But anyway, Julia Mackenzie, who plays the aunt, who only goes by the name of the most recent fiance before Romana, she was okay. I think she's done better stuff, and I think the writing was kind of underwhelming. Overall, the writing for this story was kind of underwhelming. My other big issue with the story overall is that it felt really rushed. Unlike the main range, which is usually told in 4 25 to 30-minute episodes, the Fourth Doctor adventures, at the request of Tom Baker, so I've been told, are told in 2 25 to 30-minute episodes. And like I said, this is the first story of Series 2, and here it still feels like they're trying to figure out how to do a story in such a short amount of time. For example, I am currently listening to the Fourth Doctor Adventures Series 6, and I think they figured out, by that point, their time usage much better. But yeah, here, this story feels really rushed. It felt like all the plot points were mapped out, and then the writer said, okay, we have to hit these points as fast as possible before we run out of time. And yeah, like I said, it just comes across as really rushed, because as soon as Romana parts ways with the Doctor, she's met Reggie. And then as soon as she's met Reggie, he's already proposed to her and taken her to meet his aunt. And meanwhile, the Doctor has found an energy disturbance. He was building a scanner to track for the Black Guardian, long story. And he's on his way to the same house. And like I said, everything just happened so fast. Like I said, the story came across as really rushed. Let's see. The aunt has two servants. One's a butler, one's a gamekeeper, and they're played by the same person, which is a nice touch because it turns out they're androids, so there's sort of that mass-produced feel to it. And I liked the ending. That's a good place to do it, because, as I mentioned earlier, during the plot of the episode, unlike so many other stories, the Doctor and Romana never meet. Their stories both go on their own paths, and the Doctor and Romana do not meet until the ending, which was absolutely hysterical. Basically, they come back, and they're both like, where have you been? It's like, oh, I was stopping an alien invasion all by myself, and Romana would be like, really? So was I. And then the Doctor said, yeah, I was over here. And then Romana said, really? I was over there too. And they both start getting into this argument about who actually stopped the invasion. It's a really funny scene. And on that, I guess now I'll talk about Romana. Mary Tam as Romana 1, I feel, is a very underrated companion. Not one of the most underrated companions. I still think that's Perry, but she is underrated still. I like her a lot, even though I personally prefer Lala Ward, Romana 2, but I do like Mary Tam, and I actually liked her performance in this so much that I kind of want to get the rest of Gallifrey series, the rest of that first arc of Gallifrey, series 2 and series 3, because she plays Pandora in it. And I just for Mary Tam alone, I kind of want to get the rest of series 2. Although, granted, from what I got here, I don't think the quality of series 2 would be that great, but who knows? If anything else, I would recommend this story because at the end of it, there's the usual making of features, cast and crew interviews, and then David Richardson and Tom Baker give a tribute to Mary Tam, who, because the Fourth Doctor adventures are done years in advance, they're done so far in advance, Mary Tam passed away before Series 2 even came out. And, which is sort of sad. She didn't even get to see her work come out, She had cancer, and coming in to do Series 2, she knew she had cancer. And honestly, I think that makes her all the more admirable, because her illness, and her treatment did not affect her performance. And just like I said, I liked her performance in particular so much that I do kind of want to get the rest of Series 2. But overall, like I said, the Auntie Matter is an okay story. It's passable, but it ultimately feels very rushed. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. But those are just my thoughts on the Auntie Matter. What were yours? Please start a conversation in the comments below. Share your opinions. And then remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click that little bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. Because Subscribe decided it doesn't want to do that anymore. Also, in the description down below, you'll find a link to my Twitter where you can find updates on me and the channel. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.